What is up, gang? It is I, Carlton Flowers, your crypto pro.
Yay!
And today we are going to get a quick update on the Bitcoin action. I have been out of pocket for a couple of weeks amidst this crazy market action. I mean, this is just ridiculous. It's been crazy listening to all the opinions of what is going on with Bitcoin. You've got half the people out there saying that we're ready to vault to the moon to 1 million, which is just so ridiculous, the bet that's going on with the former Coinbase CEO. You've got other people saying that it's not looking so bullish, that it's in fact bearish. But for the most part, everyone seems to think that the bull market has started and that we're ready to launch to the moon. And we won't even get into all of the FUD that's going on out there that, to me, does not completely make it clear as to what direction Bitcoin is going to go in the immediate. Okay, so let's just see if we can break down this chart and make sense of this. And before I begin, let me remind you that this is not financial advice. Anything I say or do can or will make you go broke. You could be booted from where you live and homeless within a matter of days, fooling around with this treacherous market. So watch yourself. All right, so here we are on the 4-hour chart. And it looks kind of interesting. We've got this crazy action happening with the stochastic and a rounding off of price up here on the top. It's kind of looking to me like we can't really call this any type of a flag anymore because it's doing this. We have a rounding. And normally when you have a pennant formation, you'll have a definitive flagpole and something like this, where the action is within a pennant or a flag. Now, the way I see this, I don't see any pennants or flags at all. And the only positive thing that I see right here is right now the stochastic is pointing up. But when we look at the peaks here, we're not getting anything in return for our investment as far as the stochastic peaks when compared to the price above. In other words, here's a peak here. There's how high price went up. The next peak, it was higher. But then after that, we have a declining stochastic with increasing price peaks, which is kind of a bearish divergence. See, they keep on going up here. And now we have the rounding off where the next two peaks are returning lower price peaks. Now that's very interesting. And we're sitting on a red candle right now. The only kind of normal thing that we can see here that isn't completely psychotic is the MACD oscillator and the action on the histogram, where we had this peak coincide with the first peak here, and then here's our second peak. But overall, look at what this stochastic or what the MACD oscillators are doing. In general, we've got this downtrend going on while price was trending up, and that again is a divergence. When the price goes one way and the oscillators are going the other way, because when we connect the dots of all of these stochastic peaks, we also have a divergence because this is headed down. It kind of makes me wonder if we're not building up for another bearish breakdown and maybe test of previous levels of support, where this, of course, this volume node here would be an obvious support. And then we got the one below the purple dash line. And then we come on downstairs at around 20,000. So I would say that, you know, right now, if we don't stay up here at the point of control node right there, our possibilities are number one, then number two, and then number three in order of most likely to least likely. Now, whether it goes up or down from here, I really can't call it, and I don't think anybody can because there are too many wild cards at play. We've got the whole bank bailout happening where we're adding liquidity for banks while they're not calling that quantitative easing because we're supposed to be in quantitative tightening, and they claim that once those banks get bailed out, that when they're purchased by another bank, that money gets pulled back out of the system. It does not go out into the market. But when a bank is bailed out and people can withdraw their money, who's to say that they don't throw that straight into Bitcoin? And that could be why the price has held this entire time while we have the fiasco going on with the banks. Now, if they put that money into another bank, it would be a wash. But if they're dumping that money into Bitcoin, it'll force the price up. So during the time of bank bailouts, if the feds are running the printing machine and they are counterfeiting money and people are able to withdraw, they'll take their counterfeit money and throw it into Bitcoin. That could force the price up. If they deposit, if they think that the banking system is safe and they put it in other banks, then Bitcoin will probably come down a bit. So it's a 50-50 shot here. We don't know. We can't make a determination of where we're going from here on this 4-hour chart. Now let's move to the 1-day chart and see what it looks like. The 1 day and the 1 week are kind of telling. Now, on the 1 day, we see the rounding off a lot more. We boomed and then we rounded off. You see that? It's kind of like a candy cane. It's a hook. And then here we have the rounding off of the stochastic. And we have the rounding off of the MACD oscillator with a coming crossover, a bearish crossover right there. That is bearish. We also have bearish direction of the oscillators here on the stochastic. And price is tending downwards. Okay, we don't see much on the VPVR here that is different from what we just looked at. We still have the same support level somewhere around 25,000. And then under here at 23,000 and then headed down to say 20,000 and change. So that's not much different. So overall, we have a nice uptrend from this point, say down here when the breakout started. So here we have it, but we had that big capitulation. So we kind of fell out of this channel right here and touched down on this declining red line right here. That is one of the limits of the downward trading channel that we were in before. We will be able to see that on the 1 week chart. But just based on this chart right now, this is looking bearish. If this crossover plays out and continues downward, and if we move into the red on the histogram right here, notice that we went from solid green to light green, which means the trend is downward. Weakness is coming in. We're about to cross that 0 line and start to print negative red bars on the 1 day histogram. If that happens, chances are we'll see price continue to dip just a little bit, unless we get another fiasco where there are more banks that fail and the government prints that money and people take their deposits out and they load it into Bitcoin. If they do that, it could prop the price back up to that black dash line. There was talk, people were saying that we were going to hit 31,000 like yesterday or today. I didn't see it in the charts. I didn't see any evidence of that at all. And today, on the 1 day, of course, we've got this little green candle here, but it's not doing much. We don't have much volatility. We've been sidebanding in this little hump section right here. But we're going to come out of that and it's going to break up or break down. After we have sidebanding, like look in this period, we break down and then we snapped back up. We had more sidebanding. What did we do? We broke down. We snapped back up. We have big moves after you have the sidebanding. Now, let's just look at the stochastic peaks and compare. We stayed up high on the stochastic throughout this whole period, while price shot up to this point and stayed within that oval. Then we had the next peak right here. Price shot back up after a capitulation, touching down on this declining red line, which is the limit of the downward trading channel, and it became support rather than resistance. So it supported here and it supported here. Okay, so we shot back up and then we had our next peak and we had yet another higher high. All right, and now we're going to fall out of this little zone of consolidation and we're probably going to come down and test the 50 EMA or come on down and test support on this descending red line again. So we'll have to wait and see what happens. Okay, so let's move it on and look at the 1 week chart. Now, on the 1 week, It doesn't look so hot. We came up and we got rejected at the black dashed line. All right, that is significant. And now here's that downward trending line right here that we broke through, and we had support once, twice. Now what's going to happen on the third one? You know what I always say. What happens on that third one? It usually flips from support to resistance. Now, the stochastic indicator looks bullish, right? But what is price doing? Price is coming down. So this stochastic bullish positioning here, where the fast line and the slow line are both pointing straight up, is probably going to get negated because we have two red candles. All right, if that second red candle closes, we're probably going to get across there. We'll have a double hump camel, hump one, hump two. And then we're going to start our trip down, because let's look at it. The last time the stochastic was in the overbought zone above the 80 line is right here when we had this higher high, all right? And we haven't seen that since like September of 2022. Really, it was August. There it is right there. August, and then one in September when we were way up here. I'd have to scrunch this down a little bit just to even see what the price was there. Here we go. All right, so way back in August and September, we had this peak, and then we had the humongous peak right there. All right, that was somewhere around what, 55,000? Let's crunch this down some more. Is that the double top from the previous complete bull run? Let's see here. I need to scrunch this down. Yeah, it is. That was the double top. So we surged up, then we came back up here to 60 some odd thousand, and then that's where we took the cycle down. So since then, we've had lower highs. Now this is on the 1 week, so we can see the overall trend. So here's our peak 1, peak 2, market cycle top. The next time we peaked, we had a lower high. On these two baby peaks, which didn't even make it to the 50 line, okay, we had lower high, and now we finally bump out of the 80 line into the overbought zone, and look what it made, a lower high again. All right, so let's just look at that trend. Here's our high, lower high, lower high, lower high, lower high, and we have one higher high. So that's why everybody thinks that we have flipped and that we're about to head into the bull market. Now we could be closer, but the other bit of evidence that doesn't follow the story is that we got rejected at the black dash line right there. All right, so again, if this unfurls and starts to move south, we're going to finally see the last sinking price line probably of this whole bear market, and we don't know how long that's going to last. It could be weeks, it could be months. We don't know yet. Now, we do have a flip here where we went from solid green to light green on the histogram. We still have this positive movement here of the oscillators, but it could round off. You know, we had a peak here, lower high peak, and this one is definitely higher than the previous, but will it hold, or are we going to have one last trip down here on the MACD oscillators? It could be. So let's clear all of this nonsense, and then let's just zoom back into right here in the micro of the macro and talk about probabilities. Well, right now, I would say the probability is that we continue to correct from this point. We've got the second red candle, and we're headed for the thick of this volume cluster that is centered below the red dash line, and that is at like 19,000 or so. Now, it's possible that we could stop off and rest on the 50 EMA. That's highest probability. If that doesn't happen, we stop off and we rest at the purple dash line. That's a possibility. If that doesn't happen, we could come down to this descending red line and test it. And then, of course, the red dash line and then the black dotted line. That is in order of probability, okay? And then this will determine, was this area here the bottom? It might have been. And here's the thing. I thought for sure that we were going to go back down to 14,000 or lower. But with all of the money that's being printed by the U.S. government and the destruction of the dollar, which the DXY is now at 102, it was up at about 110. How's the DXY going to rebound after the feds are talking trillion-dollar bailouts to protect the liquidity of the banks, to prevent a bank run? How's that going to happen? I don't know. I think that changes my mind of what the possibilities of the bottom could be. The bottom could be in. We could be right around the corner from the bull market right now. I might have to throw all of the previous evidence in the trash can because that can change in the drop of a hat. So overall, my assessment of this market is that it's very volatile. It's very dangerous. We have so many black swans that could happen, and the destruction of our banks, and with our corrupt U.S. government fighting against crypto because they don't want to relinquish the control of the people. They don't want to give up control of being able to print money and do what they want. Because if we go crypto and everything is on the blockchain, they lose the ability to continue to counterfeit money. And because of that, I don't know where we're coming out of here. And I would say the caution flag is up, and you better watch yourself. If you think you're going to get rich by trading in this market, you got another thing coming. Because first of all, we got the government working against us. Second of all, we got the institutional traders and the bots, the machines out there that know how to outsmart you. That's really, really tough to outsmart institutional investors. And then, of course, all of the black swan events that could happen. So it's very dangerous. So overall, you better just be careful and focus on providing value and making yourself money, and just put a little bit away as a hedge against inflation and crazy times. Bitcoin is not going anywhere, but we just don't know where the price is going to go. And that's all I've got for this quick update. I'll be back very soon, and we're going to talk more about current events and what's happening on the regulatory side and the interesting things that I have noticed with the politicians and the SEC. Post your comments down below, and I would love it if you would like, comment, and subscribe to the Crypto Pro channel. I'm so glad to have you here, and we need to do a live stream very soon. So let me know if you want a live stream where I can cover all the top projects and take your questions and give you TA on what I see with the hottest tokens and coins that are on the market. This is Carlton, and I am out.